Ahoy there, my friends. And how do you do today? Well, it's fall. Dare I say it's actually almost winter. It's freezing out here in my little office in the garage. I have to actually put this hat on to stay warm. And I'm all bundled up with my long johns on and noticing the member berries are ripe this time of year for harvesting. If you're not familiar with the member berries, well, it's a South Park thing from this year. Think of it as nostalgia. The member berries are whenever we eat member berries, you're going back in time and remembering how things were, shows you liked, things you liked. And it's kind of a theme this season on South Park. But it just cracks me up because it's so true. And there's really so much of that going around right now. And there's nothing wrong with nostalgia. There's nothing wrong with looking at cool things that you used to like when you were younger and bringing back that emotion or sharing with people who are maybe in your generation. Hell, just a little while ago, I just looked on Facebook and actually somebody had posted a clearly Canadian thing. It said, do you remember this drink? And that's just one that popped into my head. I've seen several lately. Sometimes you'll see somebody post a cassette tape and say, like this if you grew up in the 80s, or and it's kind of cheesy on one hand, but on another hand it kind of dates the human who's posting it and allows people to kind of gather around and reminisce about those things. Yeah, when I was a kid we watched the Smurfs, we watched He-Man, G.I. Joe. The kids today don't watch those shows. So if you're reminiscing about cartoons and you mention those cartoons, it's obviously when you talk about She-Ra and He-Man that's going to date you being probably in your 35 to 45-ish. Of course, there's going to be variations in that. Probably younger kids that play, and there were probably older adults who enjoyed He-Man at the time. So age is not relevant, but it does help to kind of see where people are coming from. But I've been trying hard not to, but just avoiding doing things like that. It's kind of like I posted a picture last night of these pot pies my wife cooked, and I said I don't usually post these pictures, but damn, homemade pot pie, awesome, because so many people post pictures of food and things like that. And who am I to say what's trivial? If a person wants to post a picture of something that they grew up with, even if nobody gets it or understands it, so be it. That's what they're doing. That's their space. It's kind of how I feel about YouTube in the same way. If you don't enjoy my videos, you can just unfollow me or unsubscribe, in the same way that on Facebook you can unfollow somebody's posts, which I ended up doing to most people on my list. No offense to anyone, but because Facebook for me became so shallow with the amount of people that were requesting me as friends, I said, well, I'm not going to turn anybody down. And since I linked it to my YouTube account, all of a sudden it went from my 40 friends or so that I grew up with to I don't know, just a few hundred. I don't even know how many friends I have on there, but I don't really like trying to wade through all the posts to find what my friends posted. So this is why we started our own little groups. My brother and I have a private group on there with just our friends that we grew up with, and I post a lot of stuff on there or I try to post more stuff on there that I want to keep between my bros and I. But that's something where I can post anything I want and not have to feel like I'm fishing for approval. And that's, kind of maybe where I should steer this in that direction. The idea that when we're posting something, when we're posting a video or a simple quote or a sentence or a picture or a link, there are many different reasons why people do it. YouTube in itself, the reason why people post videos, some people post videos just as information. Some people post videos as information, but so they can get views, so they can get ad revenue. So it's like a business. Some people just like to vlog about their life. And then there's some people who want to provide news and all these different things, and everybody has different motives and different interests. So it's up to us to figure out, who do we relate with, who do we resonate with, who can we share an idea with without feeling like we're too different. I can deal with a lot of differences with people. I have friends and subscribers and those I've subscribed to who are, I don't know, to be just outright bold, honest about it. People who are just total pussies about everything. They want to whine about everything that's wrong with the world. They want to whine about what's wrong with them, what's wrong with everybody else. And I'm just like, whatever. I can handle it. If they're good friends or somebody I've known for a long time, it is what it is. You learn to deal with it, and you hope that you can help them to see things a little, less negative. But then there are the people who are overzealous about themselves. They just think they're the greatest. Hey, I'm providing you information. I'm trying to teach you. Those are a few of the words that actually turn me off, I think, more than anything else. When I run into somebody online I've never met who says, I'm just trying to tell you the truth, or I'm just trying to teach you the way it is, or I'm just trying to show you because you don't understand, this aspect, when it's something that, obviously everyone understands differently. So I think it's really a perspective factor, but you have to remember also that there are students out there and there are teachers, and then there are people in between who aren't students or teachers who just want to be left alone. So when somebody comes to a student and says, I want to teach you this, they may be receptive to it. If somebody comes to me with something that I'm not interested in and wants to teach me and I don't want to learn, I'm going to tell them as much. Truth is, I'm actually brutally honest in the kind of things that I post and the way I talk to people online. I mean, go figure. I mean, you would expect that, I guess. But I try not to offend people, especially not good friends. If I have friends that post something somewhere, or I see either a video or a link they post and I don't agree with it, or I think it's propaganda, or I think it's nonsense, or I have a different opinion, I always say so. And it's not for trying to prove anything. And that's just another reason I think people need to realize that not everyone who disagrees with somebody does it to argue or to cause a problem, but rather maybe to clear the air and say, hey, we got to be more careful about what we're sharing, especially online. Face-to-face, people are a little less likely to spread bogus information to one another because you can both look it up together. You can both say, all right, show me where this is. At least in my experience. But when it comes to online, people will post anything. And there is an actual, media war going on. Before this election started, before any of this crap went down, I was already watching, and we were all well aware of what was going on with the way that our media was surpassing the mainstream media for getting information quicker. That these people were going to Facebook and places like Twitter to figure out what's going on in the world. That CNN is at the mercy of the people who have YouTube and Facebook, who are instantly there. So what happened was, during the election, a lot of people ran a lot of smear campaigns on whichever candidate they didn't like, or made stories up in order to get a lot of views and get ad revenue, and ended up that we were confused. We knew the mainstream media was corrupt and bullshit. We knew that the side stream media was corrupt and bullshit. Left and right wing, they're all full of shit. And very few people were out there giving any real news. It was more like taking a story and trying to twist it. And so now the mainstream media is trying to smear the small guys. And they're doing it for good reason. It's not just because of the bogus stories that ran. It's because they know that they're becoming irrelevant, that they are irrelevant, that it's only the older generations that actually watch the news still on network television. I mean, I don't know anybody in my generation really that watches CNN or Fox News that I associate with. We get our information elsewhere. But you have to realize that some of these main news sources are where the other smaller liberal or conservative news agencies get their first news. Then they do more digging on the internet and the work of other journalists, and then they spread that as fact. You don't see many of these basement news guys out there in the world traveling to say, okay, this is what it's really like in Iraq, and oh, this is what's really going on in Russia. They hear the same stories we all hear. So a lot of the stories that get spread are complete bogus. But what do you do, right? Whoa, that's trippy. Sitting in my trippy chair, man. I got my corner set up the way I like it, and the rest of this office is finally trying to get stuff organized, you know, organized in life, and you're organized in your mind, and it's difficult lately, you know, but I'm going to get into that in a separate video. So I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one.